What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another exclusive interview. My name is Scott Mitchell, and today I am joined by the rock star that you wish you were, Daisy Kill himself. How are you doing today,
Oh,
Daisy?
I'm good, Scott, but you know that's not how we say my name. You want to do it with me?
Yeah, I
One,
got
two, three. Daisy! You gotta do it with me, Scotty.
you.
Kill.
Kill. Yeah,
There. We'll get it. We'll work on it, you know.
we'll get it. Now, I gotta say, I love everything you're doing at the NWA right now because it is just the absolute hottest thing going. I'm a huge NWA mark. Love your work there. We'll get into that for sure. But I did want to share your story at first, and that is when and why did you first become a fan of this crazy world growing up?
Oh, pro wrestling in general. I grew up wrestling. Grew up doing combat sports in general, so wrestling, boxing, martial arts, stuff like that. And so it was always just one of those things that was easy to get into watching on TV. I had four brothers. So, saw them two, three nights a week, more than that during the 90s. We had everything to pick from. You got the WWE, WCW, ECW, and so on. I was lucky. My mom and my granddad were both big fans of Florida Championship Wrestling growing up. So it was just something that was always kind of on. They would share little bits about. Uh, Granddad was a big fan of the Briscoes growing up. My mom, believe it or not, Killer Bees, that tag team in the 80s was her team. And so, it was just something that was always grew up and was around. It was never something that I thought like I saw a path, to get into because so much of what I was doing at the time was with, amateur wrestling and boxing and those other combat sports and music and stuff like that. And it just never even thought about the pipeline with it. So I just enjoyed watching it. William Regal was always my favorite growing up. My granddaddy and I would always watch Chris Benoit. Know a whole lot around that, but that just to be honest, he would always be like, "Hey, wake me up when that Canadian fella, that Canadian fella we like comes on." And I was like, "All right," So that was before all that, but so I was always just around it, kind of, at least from the viewing perspective. Now I try to replace that viewing just out of a sense of moral consciousness. I try to watch more of Regal's stuff and WCW. He did have the opportunity to have a lot more of those technical style matches, whether it's Malenko or any of the smaller cruisers, the Luchas and stuff, all the way across the board. And then nowadays, Daniel Bryanson has kind of filled that spot for me as far as getting to see that that style done in a modern context. I've been really enjoying him for a while now.
For sure. And that kind of answers my next question. But did you have any favorites or any inspirations? So you're
Yeah,
like, this is why I want to go down this path in life.
yeah, and those I just named off right more the technical aspects that I appreciated. When it came to characters, though, I was such a typical '90s kid as far as the Hardy Boys. Had little necklace. They were too cool for school. Um, you know, that whole trio, the whole TLC trio, as far as Matt and excuse me, Edge and Christian, and then the Dudley boys, gotten to wrestle Bubba Ray once now and gotten kind of some promos on him, some songs, and gotten to be around him a good bit. So it's neat to kind of see it come full circle. But those were the bigger like personalities, of course. Booker T, like those late '90s guys, of course, Sean. But the technical wrestlers just are always the ones that I end up rewatching a lot more. Guys like Regal, like I said, guys like Owen Hart, just fucking brilliant. X Pac or Six or whatever you 1, 2, 3 Kid, any of that. Booker T, I don't think gets enough credit for as good as he is. RVD was always a blast. So I like more of that athletic, grounded style and stuff. And I just think I've been lucky to there's always been a few high performers of that caliber being represented well on TV. As far as I've been alive. So
For sure. And and I love that you actually said that because before I get to my next question, when I watch your matches a lot, you do remind me of a very young version of Edge when Edge was like starting out, and I mean that as an ultimate compliment because I see
yeah,
similarities between you guys.
that's somebody I had to look at, right? Because when looking at your stature in the business and stuff and relative to where it is and everything nowadays, because I kind of look at him. Edge is a little bit taller than me. He's not as wide and jacked, of course, but he's a little taller and stuff. But where he was and the people he was working with is very similar, I saw, to where my size fits into everybody now, and the archetype for sure. So I was watching, I did watch a good bit of him. Um, and I'd like to think, yeah, I try to take from him and guys like Randy and other guys that use their moves more of a narrative tool as more of narrative tools. It's not so much that they were doing all this stuff, but they were just really, really good storytellers, not and using a little to make a lot. So had to think about that too. Even though I really enjoy some of the super technical guys and some of the more athletic guys and stuff like this, whittling it down to more of a grounded combat style is what people have been saying lately, which is kind of nice to hear. It's not like a shoot grappler style because that doesn't make sense, and it's not too strikery. It's a lot of people just said kind of combat. I'm like, yeah, I like where that sits.
I love that because that's ironically what drew me to your character too. Because not just
Sweet.
character, but drew me to you personally
Hmm.
too. Was and I love all different types of wrestling. Like I'm not knocking any wrestling when I say this, but a lot of times in today's generation, we see moves just to be done to like get a cool spot, and
Hmm.
that like you don't always see like where it like fits in the match, like storytelling wise. Like I mean,
Yeah.
and with you, it seems like everything you do is like calculated and it kind of
Mhm.
just fits in the match, and that's like a huge testament to what you do. So,
Thank you. I
yeah.
was really lucky to have just the best trainers, and I don't feel even as slightest bit hesitant in saying the best trainers. I went and found the best, one more time, the best trainers in the world. I went and found Tom Pritchard. I lived there. I lived there. I was at that. I'd wake up and I'd work my job, my day job, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. I'd get to Dr. Tom's school 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Friday, and he was there longer than we were. He put so much into it. And Tom Pritchard, there's a reason everybody refers to him as the best. And when it comes to using those moves in a calculated way, man, he would just put you on the spot. When I first started training there, he'd stick you in the ring and he'd give you, hey, this is where you need to get. This is the finish. You got 10 minutes. Fucking go. And you're just improv, right? You're just fucking going. You're wrestling, whatever. And then you get done within 10 minutes and he's critiquing every single fucking thing you did. Like, why did you do that? And why did it lead into this? And why, if it did, that shouldn't have been. It's like, I don't know. I was just fucking wrestling. But then you start to think about it in real time after those endless reps with them. And then going around learning from other coaches, you start to hear that same stuff, right? I got in touch with Brian Idle, and he's been an amazing coach, him and Natalia Markova. And a lot of that same stuff, from Aaron Stevens when I went and got to train around Devon, a lot of the same stuff. Steve Boz in Chicago, Skate from Mexico. It all comes back to very similar things. And then when you hear the old heads talk about it, it's all the same simple stuff, but you have to hear it kind of like a trillion times for it to click in right. So I've gone around seeking to hear it those trillion times and been real lucky. Even with from Afa and Kevin Sullivan, God rest both their souls. I got a few years with each of them here in Florida as well, and it's that I always kind of their brains, my mouth. I'm opening up my mouth, but it's their stuff coming out. And Aaron Stevens and a lot of other guys, the old heads, Rockstar Spud, from the E right now, they all kind of say that same stuff. And there is a core logic that if you take the time to learn and you take the time to really make sense of, it really just comes down to you respecting not only the craft, but the people watching as well. Just like a good sci-fi or fantasy, Star Wars, you're out there with the lightsaber, but then you whip out a wand and you're like, Avada Kedavra. Like, no, 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 motherfucker. We haven't established any kind of, this isn't magic. This is the force, excuse my language. But so thank you. It's good that that's being, that's visible and apparent. Sweet.
For sure. And when and why did you decide that this was the path you wanted to head down in life, and you decided to train to become a professional wrestler?
Yeah, it wasn't that was what was cool is it wasn't and that's why I feel so neat getting to say it because I didn't seek it out. So it felt more like the old days when they just kind of went and grabbed a guy. I was doing the Golden Gloves in Chicago. I just won the boxing Golden Gloves because I grew up doing combat sports my whole life and doing music, rock bands and all that. And I got in a nasty car accident when I was about 25. I got T-boned. I was just pulling out of my neighborhood and somebody just flew through and T-boned me right in my driver door. I got rods in my femur and my hips and my collapsed lung and my whole left side was broke. My right lung was collapsed. So I was in a wheelchair for a few months and all that. And I had just won a big MMA fight. It even got on Fox Sports if people ever want to look it up. But I knocked the dude out first round. It was really cool. And it was getting a lot of hype. And then I got in that car accident. I'm in a wheelchair for like 6 months. And I get out, my hips are still kind of funky. So I got into boxing for a while because it wasn't as wasn't as taxing on my hips and legs as MMA and wrestling was. So I did the Golden Gloves. I won there. And I'm leaving, and some fella grabs me by the back of the arm. He's like, "Hey, kid, you got a real good look. You can make some money." And I was like, "Yeah, thanks, weirdo." And he's like, "No, no, I do pro wrestling. I think you got a real good. We could put some weight on you. You can do this." And I was like, "Well, it's real nice. Blah blah blah. Thank you." And one of my buddies, his name's Chris Starnowski. He used to wrestle with me early in my career. He was a brilliant wrestler. But he did some stuff with Japan. He's just great. But he comes over, he knows the guy, and he's like, "Hey, that's Steve Boss. That's superstar Steve Boss from Chicago." And I was like, "I don't know who that is." And he's like, "He does this wrestling stuff." So I went back over and talked, and he said, "I'll train you and your buddy. Just come in. I'll train you all in the mornings." So we didn't even go to the group classes or anything. I just started going in the mornings when I had time, and I would train with him. I was like, all right, this is kind of neat. It makes sense. This is fun. And then I went and did, and I'm still watching it my whole life, but I never noticed or really knew about the independent scene, right? So I did it for like a month or two, and I go and I do my first show, my first match, and I go out there, and it was just a blast. And the booker at the time, Jason Dukes, he's like, it's not often that you see a guy just have fun. Like they're just here and they're like, "Hey, I'm gonna go whoop some ass and have fun." And I was like, "Yeah, this ain't this is way easier. Pro wrestling not easy or anything like that. It's really hard in a lot of ways, but it felt easy in a way. There's nothing mentally difficult about it, I should say, physically and all that. Yeah, but as far as like, I just went out there, did the first match, and was like, "Holy shit, this is a fucking blast!" Excuse my language again, but it was a blast, and I was like, "Yeah, I want to keep doing it." I kind of transitioned slowly. I was still not only fighting but working in combat sports and music and stuff like that. So I kind of just slowly transitioned as I learned the industry, and then once I had kind of a clear path as far as, okay, this is how you pursue this in a serious manner. I ran. That's when I started finding those good coaches, making the move to Dr. Tom and everything else, and just started running. And it's just been a blast doing what I'm told, doing it the right way, putting in the work, and people like Dr. Tom, people like big people like Brian Idol and Natalia and Steve Boz, and they've all and countless others. I'm just going to start listing names, but countless people along the way have been in my ear like, "Hey, you're kind of you need to be doing this." You know what I mean? Because every now and then you start to ask yourself, you're like, "Oh, should we do?" My little delusional thinking. But when you've got the right old heads, like I mentioned earlier, off Kevin Sullivan and all these great people in the industry and everything else, telling you like, "Hey, no, you need to be doing this. This is for you." It kind of reinforces and makes it easy. So I don't want to say it's been easy, but it's been well supported and well insulated the whole way up. I've had nothing but help, so it's been awesome.
So, you spoke about it there, Dr. Tom, Brian Idol, Natalia, so many mentors that it sounds like you've had. But
Countless.
was there any that really like took you under their wing and created the Daisy kill that we see before us today?
Once it's those same names, right? Steve Boz, the guy who originally got me into it. At the time, what he pitched at the time, what he wanted me to be, eventually was, I should have listened to him from the get go, because that's what Daisy ended up being, years later. But I kind of resisted, did some other stuff, worked under some hoods of some popular characters that I'm not going to reveal because they do have decent followings and y'all don't know. I work under some hoods of some that my first 4 years actually I worked under a hood. So there was nobody had seen my face. I would even show up to matches in that character that still works sometimes. Um, just to kind of so I could number one put on the size because coming from competitive fighting and stuff like that, you're always trying to get skinny as small as you can, right, for the weights. So I knew I needed a few year window to kind of put on the mask, learn the business and all that. So when it came time to take the mask off, because that's when Dr. Tom had been doing a seminar in Wisconsin, and I went up and I was wearing my hood and I did my bit, and he came over, talked to me for a while, said come down and train. And then I was in Florida, and it was Mother Lover Jake Tucker, who I believe goes by Stacks now on NXT. Super nice guy.
Good. Okay.
I love him. He's so nice and smart. Very 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 hardworking. Love to see the good ones get that right. But he saw my hood, me getting it out of my bag, and he goes, "You're blah blah." I'm like, "Say the name." He goes, "You're," and I was like, "Yeah, yeah." And his Dr. Tom was talking about you at the school, and I was like, "No way, that's awesome. What do you mean?" And he goes, "Yeah, he talked about how big of an idiot you were, and couldn't believe you were doing this and having the mask and all this." And I was like, "Oh wow." So I called him up, and he's like, "Yes, I said that." And I was just like, "Oh." And he's like, "If you'd like to take off the mask, come up. I'll train you for free." And I said, All right. So I came up and I sat with them, like I was telling you earlier. I was at that school 6, 7 hours a day, 5 days a week. And Dr. Tom would sit and just ask questions and ask the stuff about my life and what I did and everything else. And, I had done a musical project earlier in my life as Daisy Kill, and we really liked how it was kind of both play on Guns and Roses, right? Instead of guns, kill, instead of daisies, instead of roses, daisies, right? So Daisy Kill and flowed nice. And he kind of helped really starting that early development of the character, right? As it went along, Brian Idle got his hands on it. Big, giant adjustment. That's where really things really got moving forward onto the TV level. And now recently it's been Aaron Stevens really and Pollo de Mario. Those two, Pollo aesthetically huge, I've become kind of his Ken doll as far as all these sweet little crop top jackets and new pants coming, all this cool stuff, and my hair and everything. He's been making sure I sit with the hairdresser and all that. But then as far as the character and the presence and the presentation, Aaron has just been so vital to putting some of those final touches on it. And I feel bad leaving out a lot of other really helpful names. There's only so many.
For sure. And, you've developed into quite the wrestler. I love seeing your work. We could talk for hours about what you're doing on NWA because it's awesome to see. But I want to start with the most recent and the biggest rivalry, one of the biggest rivalries of your career, and that is with Eric Smalls at NWA. You guys have been having a lot of fun going at each other in the National Wrestling Alliance. But the next chapter is coming at
No,
NWA 78
no, I'm done with this. Yeah, no more smalls.
in a
No, this
dog collar
is
match.
ridiculous. Yeah,
What is your
yeah.
mindset heading into this one?
I'm just ready to. It's Philadelphia, so it's appropriate. That's all. It feels right. Feels like the right time to just go ahead and break him in half, put the stamp on it. Really, um, Philadelphia is a great town for it. The dog collar, dog chain match. I've got a lot of ideas already how to beat him up with it, how to strangle. Like some ideas, I'm like, I might have to turn the cameras away. I want to, I want to dangle that little fella. You know what I mean with that chain. So it'll be really cool. I think Philadelphia is going to enjoy it a lot. There's a lot on those anniversary shows in store, and I've got a lot in mind for it. I think you and everybody else, but I really know you're going to like it. You're specifically what I got in mind. Some big surprises. So
I
big,
can I can't wait
big.
to I definitely can't wait to see it because I wish they streamed it live, but I know it's going to be on Power the next few weeks. So I can't wait to see that come to fruition because that is going to be a blast. That's going to be the best.
What's nice when it's live is awesome. Live is amazing, right? But what's nice about the tape delay a little bit is we have an insanely good director, Billy Trask,
Yeah.
who you give him a day, you give him just a little time to put things together, right? And it's just, I'm sure everybody's seen it, and they can't argue if you look at the production value, even a year ago or two, when I started 3 years ago to now, it is just insanely different. It's on another level. So I appreciate a little bit of them forcing that delay on the viewer because it's creating a great product that I think is really reflecting in the numbers and the viewership lately.
Oh, for sure. And I can't wait to see it because NWA has been killing it. Love watching it on Comet. I have to ask you, why should people check out NWA on Comet as well?
Well, the reason you're going to check it out on Comet is just, once again, seeing it in real time. While it's not live, you're seeing it in real time. And there's just something to be said about your investment. You're mentally invested in it differently. All right. It's like when you go to a movie or when you're watching live sports versus a rerun or streaming when you can pause it and rewind it and everything else. You're not as mentally invested because it doesn't matter as much, right? Because you can change it, everything back and forth. So anytime we watch any program, in real time as it's airing, you're kind of forced to focus on it more. And people don't always want that, right? Right away, they don't want to have to focus. They want to be able to look at every nice shiny bell and whistle because it gets those immediate hits of dopamine and happiness and everything. So I think go ahead, force yourself, people, to sit, watch it in real time, see the different kind of positive feelings and the different kind of highs that you get to experience from forcing yourself through that delayed gratification and that delayed offset of immediate stimuli, scrolling and everything else. Like reward yourself, watch it in real time, sit and give yourself some time to focus on it because it's worth it.
And your rivalry with Eric Smalls, which we have seen on NWA on Comic quite often, was so heated and has gotten so heated that you sent Big Cozo to handle him for you. What went into this plan?
So, he's a cool dude. He's Smalls noticed my jacket was missing. I don't know if y'all saw, my black jacket, my black little vest, and I heard Smalls has got his big challenge, and I said, "Oh, that sounds like really similar to my open challenge." So then, I said, "All right, well, watch this." And I went over to Cuzzo because Cuzzo and I are boys. There's Daisy and there's Cuz.
Yeah.
Oh, a lot of people don't know it. That's how his name is pronounced. It's you got to hold the Z, right? So I said, "Hey man, why don't you go out there and just snag him around a little bit?" So it was as simple as that, really. Because he's a good guy who's backstage. He's trying to get some attention right now with the boss and the NWA and everything. And I said, "Go kick his head off and put him in the ground," and he did it. Got my jacket back, and here we are. So
And you and Smalls recently met in a Kiss My Boots match, which he bested you in. But what was this match like for
sure,
you
sure he did.
to work with him in
Sure,
this
sure he
match?
did. I kissed his boots, but one of us, left walking, and one of us was still in the ring holding themselves. That match ended early, didn't it? Everybody's like, "Oh, that was weird." He got him pinned off of that. Yeah, yeah, it was, wasn't it? But one of us walked out, fully intact, and one of us not. So
And I'd be remiss too if I didn't bring up another recent match of yours and Smalls was the Shanghai Pain Stick Lethal Ladder match. Uh, that was freaking fever dream in itself. I love
yeah,
that stuff.
that was
That
hilarious. I
match.
had the little stick,
Yeah.
the little stick wiggling under the ring, and yeah, that was awesome.
What was that match like for you, and what was that experience like competing in that type of match?
That was like the most fun I've had. It was a lot of fun. Getting to watch it back, it would have been cool had the shotgun mics picked up a little bit more of the audio because at the beginning of the match, somebody in the crowd had screamed. They were like, "You're not afraid of a midget, are you, Daisy?" And I just lit up. I said, "That's all you are to them, isn't it? That's all you are, a little midget, a little freak." And when we got out of the ring, they caught it a little bit on the camera. I dragged Smalls right to that fellow who said it and I was holding him in his face. I said, "Say it again. Say it again. Call him it again." And he won and everything. And it was just fun getting to smack him up a bit with the Shanghai stick and getting them to see him tumble from the ladder. It was good. It was a
And
blast.
I have to ask, is there a way that people can go back and check this out who might want to look for it on YouTube or on any other platform as well, or is it strictly comment?
What's cool is they do have some of the matches on YouTube. I believe they have a lot of clips of that one on it. But what's even better is Tubi. We are going to be streaming on Tubi very soon, and I know a lot of the content's going to be loaded on there. Comet is, of course, going to always be having the newest upcoming episodes right on the cutting edge. But Tubi is going to have a lot more access to the library. YouTube's going to expand on that a lot more as well. So,
Awesome. And you recently had a shot at the NWA World Television title in a scramble match.
yeah, and I
While you,
won.
yeah, I was gonna say
I
while you
won.
came up short, what was this match like for you?
I won that match. Misery hit the frog splash, and as he hit, watch anybody hit a frog splash, they have a little bounce after it, right? He
Yeah.
hit the frog splash. He had a little bounce. I was on Legursky first. You can see it even as the dog pilot's getting up. Misery is on top of me. I won the belt, and that's why I stayed in my case. The match itself was just trying to be tactical. As far as Wrecking Ball, I don't know why people don't look at Wrecking Ball as a bigger threat than he is. Wrecking Ball is a massive super heavyweight that is just pure power, tons of charisma and everything else. Crowd obviously likes him, but I don't know why other wrestlers don't treat his presence with a little bit more caution and respect. And that's what I did in that match. If you rewatch it, is I was very much trying to coordinate with the other wrestlers in the match and trying to pick our spots, and it worked. And it did work, picking the spots at the right time. Misery, you know. Misery and I, we're gonna have some more stuff to figure that out. But it was, Lockjaw. I didn't get to touch Lockjaw at all. I'm curious about it though, because he came in from NWA Chicago, and I'm curious to see what he can do a little more. But getting in the ring with him was cool. JAC, I think, is a great worker who, he always has a solid match and stuff. So it was a cool dynamic, and I'm glad, I figured it out. I won the match. The ref, and then Smalls. So it's not the end of the world. That's my second time challenging for the TV title. I was at Brian Idol's inaugural defense, and it makes sense because things need to fit, needs to be appropriate, and I'm a world champion, and that's where it's going to end up. So.
Absolutely. And
And that's the legacy that's going to happen. Is the NWA World Title. I'm going to go home, show my granddad who's been watching for 80 years now, show my mom who's been watching for 50 years now. Like that NWA World Title is coming home one day.
I can't wait to see that because you have been on a whole other level recently, and you're only going up. So it's awesome to see for sure.
You know,
And I'd
see it.
also I'd also be remiss too if I didn't bring up your match last year at NWA 77, almost 1 year ago to the day in
Mhm.
August. This was you got to challenge Baron von Storm, which saw you get a little messed up, but
So let's address that, right? No, that's good because like Baron von Storm, I retired him. I busted him open. I stood over him, pouring blood, retired him. Who else? Cardona, he's gone. Last match in the NWA. Daisy. I don't count what he did with Thrill. It was me. Same thing with Hunter Drake. Same thing with Levy. Same thing with Sal. From the little freak group and all that. But 6 people I've retired now. It's going to keep happening. So they like. I'm worried for Smalls after this. So enjoy them while you can see them because that just seems to be the play. Daisy kills the Reaper, and that's how it's been coming through. We talk. I love the Orton. I love getting to watch Orton. So getting to be that version in the NWA, getting to send people packing. It's been a blast. So it's been a good time. Good time.
for sure. And at NWA 77, you did compete against Baron von Storm in Long Island, New York, my neck of the woods.
You were
Well,
there.
yeah, I
You
was
were there,
there. That
weren't
was
you?
an absolute blast. That was so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but what was it like for you competing in front of those fans? And I'm biased, but I like to think it was good. But I don't know.
New York was a blast. It was a solid crowd. It was a long night, and they stayed and they enjoyed it, and they had a great verbal reaction throughout our match and everything, and they stayed active and engaged. It was a cool venue too. Got lost a few times in the different spots. There was like hidden rooms throughout the building because I guess it was an old speakeasy, and they had like these doors
Yeah.
that would go into these little secret corner hidden rooms and all that. And they were bragging about them. They're like, yeah, 60 years ago they'd have these hidden room doors at the speakeasy, and I'm like, those were probably assault rooms. I don't they also be like hiding, like sealing these rooms off. These are evidence. Like take a black light to these things, but it was cool, And the people, there's the Northeast fans are a blast, whether it's New York or Philly or a lot of it. Each market's got its own kind of fans. I came up in the Chicago scene. I've spent plenty of time in the Tennessee and now in the Florida scene and stuff like that. Georgia's wild, but there's their own kind of crowds and in each of them. And New York's a really cool one. So it was really neat to get to be there for it.
And I'd also be remiss if I didn't bring up you're one half of the former NWA United States Tag Team Champions.
2 times.
Two
Two
times.
times. First in history, first 2 time United States Tag Team Champions. Yeah. Me and
Al-
Talos. Big boy.
Alongside Talos, the big guy himself. But what were these reigns like for you in becoming the first two-time champion in history of those belts?
Just a natural progression. As far as how it went along, just it made sense. I mean, look at Talos and I. What's been fun is since Talos has been doing his thing in Japan and everything, is people are realizing that I'm not like 5'7", just because I stood next to him the whole time. Like, no, I'm like 6'1", guys. Like, so getting to work normal size guys have kind of shown that a little bit. But with Talos, it's like, yeah, you got a 6'1", 220-pound cage fighter and then a real life cage fighter, and then you got 7'2", best moving giant in the world. I challenge you. I have to keep it not swearing.
You
I
can swear.
fucking oh wonderful. I fucking challenge you. I dare you to find a better moving 7 fucking footer than Talos. Nobody can, and you're not going to find one who can talk like him, work like him, handle his business like him. It is a shame, and it is just beyond it's almost intentionally just like I don't know. I don't want to go stupid or anything, but I can't get it. The fact that he's used well, but the fact that he's not given the appropriate opportunities for what he brings is insane to me. So that it made sense when you put us together. It's like, no, there's not a lot of people who can beat us in a wrestling ring or in a bar or in a parking lot. Like it's just not going to happen. We're too big, we're too strong, we're too smart. I'm sorry. Like I love to give everybody else their flowers, but if no, if it's Talos and I, those are our, it's our bouquet, baby.
For sure. And you and Talos used to be pretty inseparable for a while.
Yeah.
We've seen you guys kind of branch off and go each other's own direction, but was there any animosity there, or were you just like,
No,
yeah,
no,
good
no, no.
luck?
We're that's the thing is we're not split up or anything like that. We're just they interviewed me after one match and I explained it pretty well. It was just like he needed to go work on some stuff. Yeah, I'd sent him to Japan. He had some opportunities there. He got there and they put the young Ayabe Ren with him.
I love that.
So oh, and he's showing him how to be a big man. I taught Talos how to be a big man. He's teaching Ayabe how to be a big man. And who knows? Now there's two
Well,
big men.
yeah, that'd be
No, and
cool.
no animosity though. So y'all just keep. That's the thing. He's always there. We
Yeah.
never split. It's always there. People assume, but no, we're good. There's equity. We've been a team for a long time, inside and outside of the NWA. Very good friends. So no.
And I have to ask you too, Talos is going to be in that number one contenders match, that five-way match at
Mhm.
NWA 78. Is that one you'll be paying attention to?
I am, and I think it's just another example of like people getting easy outs with Talos because you got four other people. You have three people in the match that you can pen besides Talos. And I think that's going to be the biggest concern for him is staying in the ring, staying near the middle, making sure to keep his attention on those other people because it's not so much about him getting beaten so much as somebody else, while his attention is, so it's a good, Effie's tricky. Effie's a new one to the NWA, and Effie is brilliant. He's very smart. He has to be smart to be able to win the matches that he does because he's not the most physical guy and stuff like that. But he's very clever. And then you have I don't want to say the opposite because he's also intelligent, but just a completely different approach of Kratos is just man. He just hits differently. There's such a laser sharp focused power about what he does and everything. And then you've got who else is in that? Heath Slater, right? Uh, a lot of experience there. You got to be on the lookout for a lot of world level experience. PB Smooths. I'm sorry, PB. I like you and everything. You're a big dude, but you got Talos next to you, man. You got the real giant in there. So PB, I'd watch your space there. And then who's the fifth in that? Did I get them all? I think I got them all. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think
that's the
so.
thing. One on one, Talos destroys all of them. I mean, if you can go back to Salwin a few years ago in Ohio, and Talos is chucking Kratos around like nobody's business. And so I don't think that so much anybody can beat Talos as they can. They're gonna be focusing on each other.
I can't wait for that match. I can't wait for this whole event as possible.
Solid card.
It's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing, truthfully, too. And then Natty's gonna be there on top of it. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
Natty comes
So,
around a lot, and Natty's just
yeah.
amazing, good people. Always good energy, very kind, sincere, and that you just love having that around. So, and then coming from such a legacy, that she comes from, bringing that to legacy that is the NWA, it feels appropriate.
And do you have any future goals now for yourself?
Yeah, NWA World Title,
There we go.
NWA World Title. That's it. It's got to come home. It's got to happen. It's undeniable. The work's going to be done until it happens. So
I love that. And I can't wait to see that when that happens because you deserve it. You're putting in the work, you're killing it, and it's only a matter of time for sure.
it's going to look good on me.
100%. And do you have any future opponents you'd like to share the ring with at NWA or elsewhere? Like who's on your radar?
Yeah, and not just because he's currently holding my world title, keeping it warm and stuff for me, but Thrill Billy. That's been a long time coming. We are both we've trained at similar places with Dr. Tom and a few other places. He also has a really good combat sports background, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, everything else. There's such a authenticity and intensity when he wrestles that I really feel comes close to what y'all haven't got to see it because of the types of opponents, but I really think he's the right opponent to bring out that same kind of intensity in the ring Carson Drake is another one that I'd really like to do something with, but that's more, I just want to get a mic in front of him. I just want to eviscerate him. I want to be looking at him eye to eye with mics in our hands and just, you know,
Yeah.
make him feel like, the child he is behind the mask. And that's a lot of the case with Carson and Thrill. And a lot of them is they are wearing this little bit of a mask to them, as sincere as somebody like Thrill seems, even because a lot of people do see a lot of sincerity and things like from him. But no, he's still he wears it. And I see right through all of them, and I'm gonna expose him, not to be mean or anything, but that's just the truth. It needs to be out, and it's gonna happen. Eventually we're gonna be in the ring, we're gonna be on the mic across from each other, and yeah.
I can't wait to see both of those. Those are going to be great. Those are going to be
That's what's
great.
nice. The best brings out the best, and I'm not going to pull punches. They're the best in there, and I'm gonna best them. So
Exactly. I just like you're going to best Eric Smalls this on NWA 78, which is 2 weeks away now. Jesus,
three, yeah.
3 weeks away. Time's flying. I can't believe it. I remember when you guys first announced it. Crazy.
Faster every day,
Crazy. Do you have any?
every day. It's getting time to go. Right, that one's
Oh
great.
God, that's a catchy song.
Yeah, yeah, was that Buddy Holly? Right,
Buddy, is that? I think so.
I think it's Buddy Holly.
I think so.
Right?
I'm
There's a
terrible with names, but I just know
and
this.
Gary Busey played him. It was one of his earliest acting roles. Was in his biopic. Love Gary Busey.
Yeah, he's amazing. Gary Busey's a funny guy. Dude, his face and all the
Mhm.
photos, it looks like he's seen some shit.
Have you ever seen his son? His son's in Starship Troopers, the redhead guy. As soon as you know it's his son and you see him, you're like, oh my God, yeah, of course that's his son.
Maybe, I think, because I saw someone in Starship, I was watching Starship Troopers, but I didn't know that was his son, but he reminded me of Gary Busey.
Another reason to watch Comet TV. They have some of the best sci-fi, whether it's Starship Troopers, Star Trek, any of those. When you're done with NWA, keep it on. Watch some of this, great sci-fi programming.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the redhead in it. If you
Oh,
remember, with the big teeth. That
yeah.
was. Mhm,
Small world for sure.
mhm.
And do you have any final message for anyone who's watching or reading this and how they can support you or follow you in any way?
Yeah, most importantly, just keep watching this program because you, Scott Mitchell, you do a great job featuring things. And if you've watched this far into the interview, awesome. Thank you. Behalf of Scott and myself, it's great that we could entertain you guys. Check out the socials. I got a lot of fight clips on there from the cage fighting days. It's a lot of fun. Me kicking people's heads off in the cage. There's some great. There's a soft roll of the music release. There's a rock single out right now on Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Music, all that. Daisy Kill anymore. Full album, full rock album coming out later in this year. Most of it's already completed. I've been going back and forth to Chicago to finish it out. So yeah, keep an ear out. It's an awesome album. I'm not, gonna try to like be, oh, it's, I've been working on it hard. No, like this is a really, really good rock album I have coming out. Not to switch subjects, but it is part of Daisy Kill, is the rock side of it as well. And there's not a ton of just straight like distorted guitar rock and roll music out right now. New releases constantly, people don't have a lot to pull from. They got to look at the older stuff. So I'm excited to give people a full length solid, super solid album of songs and everything. So keep your ear out. If you want a taste of it, we have one single out right now on Spotify, everything else under Daisy Kill. And most importantly, watch Comet, watch Tubi, watch wrestling in general. Watch it all. It's awesome. Everybody, I think that we're in such a booming time for wrestling right now. I think the market, both for viewers and wrestlers, is the best that it's ever been. When I hear people talk about this or that, it's not this or it's not this, like, what are y'all talking about? There are four major companies on TV right now in the U.S. alone. In the U.S. alone, when do we ever really have that? I can't. Even in the '90s, the peak '90s, most people, as much as ECW gets a reputation now, most people weren't watching it at the time. There were not as many people watching ECW as there are NWA, as there are TNA, as there are, heck, even probably GCW, a few of the others. Who knows, right? But like what we have, not to put it down, but what we have right now is amazing. It's incredible. The business is booming. There's so much money in it. One company alone is a $9 billion company. And then like, look at what we're going to do. We're in WA and we're on Comet. We're on, mainstream television. We're on Tubi. We're all over the place now. And it's awesome to get to see. And I think if people, just keep running, keep enjoying it, that's it. Enjoy wrestling, lose yourself in it, immerse.
I love that. And there's so much good wrestling on. I love watching NWA. You can find good wrestling
It's
wherever
like
you
it's
go.
like country music, man. Like you don't like most of it, but if you look, you can
Yeah.
find some really good ones that you like. So,
Especially not the pop country stuff. That's not country anymore. That I like country, but I like older country. A
well,
little bit.
have you listened to this new dude? What's his name? Zach Top.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah.
if you like the older, traditional whatever kind of sound, he sounds very like 1994, straight up the road country. Because it seems like you're saying, you either have that choice between like pop country or like more of the folksy country guys like Tyler Childers and Zach Smith and stuff like that. But Zach Top's really neat because he's right there in the middle. He's like, oh no, this is more of that like traditional mainstream country sound, but it still sounds very rural, twang like and everything like that. It's just clean. So
The one pop country guy I think I like, and I consider him pop country, but he's still good. I like him. Is Luke Combs,
yeah.
but
Oh, I'm gonna sound like one of those basic snobs too. Like, oh, I liked his early stuff, but I really did.
yeah,
And then they forced him to release so much
I know.
material when the ball started going, and it wasn't his songs anymore either. Like he wrote most of the early stuff, and then as they really got money behind him, they're just kind of having him crank out single after single. And it's like, yeah, he's got a voice like a diesel engine, and so, like an angel singing through a diesel engine. It's just awesome. So and I really enjoyed his first album and stuff. Yeah, it was good.
He's great, and I don't like I said, I don't listen to a lot of the country because a lot of it is like a little bit too pop for me, and I'm not a big
You
pop
pick
music
here.
fan.
Well, that's cool. As you can find stuff. That's what's awesome about
Yeah,
the modern media landscape is you can find anything in any genre. Mostly like punk rock and things like that, sad boy rock.
yeah.
But it's at your fingertips. You can find a country artist. You can find plenty of rappers you like. You can, I believe it or not, I'm sure you could probably find some death metal you liked if you really looked for it. I got plenty, but I'm saying the average person. So it's awesome. We're living in the future. It's
And
awesome.
the same can be said about wrestling. There's so much good wrestling out there. So honestly, like go out, take days to
There's Daisy Kill, Talos, Daisy Kill. You got, yeah,
yeah,
it's plenty.
so much. Daisy, I appreciate your time. I don't want to take up too much of it, but I really thank you for taking the time out to do this.
All right, man. Well, I hope you have a good afternoon. Happy 4th, and y'all keep an eye out. NWA.